Do you think there's anything wrong with your mind, really? I got damn horrible modern science. I'm here to cooperate with you 100%.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I can hear you, Scott.
Beautiful.
What do you got going on tonight, Scotty?
Paige has got a baby shower she's running to, so I'm watching the kids.
Nice.
So
I love
excited.
baby showers because we don't have to go to them. I love that.
You know what? Yeah, there's a handful of things in life that I'm just like, you know what? I got a lot of positives about being a guy, and that's one of them.
Yeah, I'm good.
You're not even thought of to be invited. That's like the best part. You're just like, why would no? And then it's cool because I just wanted to be in my room anyway.
Yeah, it's like sexism is actually really awesome sometimes. I love it.
Oh my God.
The only baby shower that I've ever gone to was Paige's for Win Dodger. And I was there and I was like, what do I do? And there was one other guy that came, Genevieve. She brought her husband because she was deployed in Japan and had just barely gotten back in town. Her husband is this like totally ripped, stiff military, like Marine, you know?
Yeah.
And so he was like in the corner. He didn't know anybody, and they'd just barely gotten back to the United States after being in Japan for like 3 years or something like that. And so I went over and talked to him the whole time and got him to loosen up a little bit. But that's all I remember.
Probably the worst return to civilian life experience you could ever imagine.
Just come back and go to a baby shower for your wife's friend.
Yeah, you're just like these soft motherfuckers. Like, what are all these people?
I just can't do this.
You're celebrating a baby? Like, what? Yeah.
I'll throw a little pity party for myself. I remember when I came back from my mission from Alabama. I remember the two things I did. I went to an Amway convention with Dad, and then I went and house sat for our Uncle Andy for like a month. So I was just in his house for like a month, basically all by myself. And I was like, this is the stupidest thing I ever did.
Gosh, dude, the day right after my mission, I just sat in my bedroom. I like woke up in the morning and I just like cried. I was like, what do I do with my life?
I have to actually think of my life now. Have you told Allie these stories about you breaking up with girls over movies?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I wonder if she has like a subconscious fear. She's like, hey, let's not broaden our spoke and keep watching movies. I don't want you to watch a movie and be like, oh, babe.
No, she thinks it's funny, but she was like, well, now I know I have to stay in shape my whole life or something like that. And I was like, yeah, that is, yeah, you got it.
I mean,
oh my gosh.
I mean, the bar's not super high. It's Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
Hey, that man is a national treasure. Oh my gosh.
Did I just say that even though I knew that Danny DeVito was in this movie, the whole time I was like, is that really Danny DeVito though?
Dude, I'm going to tell you, I did not know that was Danny DeVito. I 100% did not know that. And then I was on Letterboxd and IMDb looking up stuff and I was like, wait, what? I had to go back and watch it again. And I was like, holy crap. My whole world just flipped upside down.
He was so cute.
It's a little curmudgeon.
You know what? That is the perfect word, Ren. Curmudgeon.
Curmudgeon. We could talk about some movies we watched, but should we just jump in?
I know you've seen some movies, so we can go ahead and talk about it. I'm trying to remember if I watched some TV. I can talk about TV.
I've seen some things. I dropped the first installment of Ooze Control today. Just a little 15-minute snippet on my experience watching Hamnet in the theater. And I won't go into it here. Everyone should go listen to that. But I'll just say that movie blew my freaking mind.
So Northman or Hamnet?
The Northman, of course. But it was kind of funny. I go into it. I'll share a little bit here. The only reason I saw Hamnet is because of you guys. And what I mean by that is I would never have agreed to go see it with Allie unless I had seen About Time and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's like
Really?
this
Interesting.
my gateway drugs into this romantic. I thought it was a rom-com. It's not a rom-com, but like the fact that I was like, let's go do it. I got myself to that point. I was proud of myself, but it's not a rom-com. I just didn't know anything about it.
I can't wait until you're like, all right, I'm going to go see this movie. It looks like a rom-com, but it's going to be great. And you watch it and you're like, that was the stupidest rom-com I've ever watched. Like, it's going to deceive you so hard.
Should have trusted my instinct.
I'm kind of excited. I saw that Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is playing on Regal in February. So I'm actually like going to go watch a movie in theaters because Paige still hasn't seen it. And I was like, hey, you want to go on a date? Like, we haven't done that in forever. And she's like, yeah, that sounds great. So we're going to get an excuse to go watch Jim Carrey be boring and Manic Pixie Fairy.
And Kate Winslet just blow your mind. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Paige is going to dye her hair green the next day. Watch.
Every day it's going to be a different color.
There you go.
Yeah, depending
Like,
on how mad she is at you.
Like Ramona Flowers.
You know, I just thought once we get a couple more entries into this, we can make a little category on our Patreon. It's like movies you thought were rom-coms.
Yeah,
for real.
Time, Eternal Sunshine, and we'll find a couple more like that.
It's a good list. It's a good list. Another
pretty good
movie, I shared this on our Discord, but I wanted to know, Scott, have you ever seen Eraserhead?
I've never watched Eraserhead. It's another one of those like been on my list forever of the like I'm kind of creeped out by it, but eventually I'll get to it movies.
Yeah, no, I'm scared to watch it. I keep hearing things about it. I'm like, I know I'm gonna bite the bullet and watch it one day, probably because of this podcast. But for now, I'm gonna remain innocent.
My brother loves it. He's recommended it.
Oh,
all the
really?
time, but my brother is really weird, and so I take all of his recommendations through the lens of, all right, if I want to be really weirded out, I'll watch his recommendation. And so I know that about Eraserhead. If he recommended it, I get the flavor of what it is.
Well, it's David Lynch's first film, so I was like, yeah, I've heard good things, and all I knew was the guy with the frizzy hair on the cover. So do you know anything about it? Like, do you any wrinkle of what it's about?
Oh, I know nothing about it other than the recommendation and where it came from.
I don't even know how to process. I haven't rated it on Letterboxd. Like, I don't know what to rate it. Like, I have no, like, I'm like, I don't know how I feel. It was weird. And like, there's like an alien baby that like is, I don't even know what to think about it, but I'm going to put it on a list. So you guys have to talk about it with me.
So Ren, we'll just put it on record on a scale of bacon to necktie. Where does it go?
Undecided. I'll have to come back with an answer. I'm so confused by it. The first half hour, I was like, what is happening? And then by the end, you're just like I feel like my eyes were like spiraling. Like in Fantastic Mr. Fox, when they like go into animal mode and their eyes go all spirally. That's how I felt by the end of the movie.
I thought you were gonna say the judge from oh gosh, Roger Rabbit. Like, I thought that's what you were gonna say.
Speaking of Christopher Lloyd.
Yes.
Yeah, that's our cue. We've talked about 2 actors in this movie that we're going to talk about, so we got to transition.
Man. Let's get it.
All right. Roll the tape.
What can you tell me about why you've been sent over here? They think you've been faking it in order to get out of your work detail.
Do I look like that kind of guy to you, Doc?
Medication time.
Yummy.
Do you want to say something to the group, Mr. McMurphy?
Not a thing, Doc. I'm a goddamn marvel of modern science.
Want to watch the ball game, baseball?
I only count 9 votes, Mr. McMurphy.
I want that television set turned on. The chief. Stop this immediately.
That nurse, man.
Sit down.
He's dangerous.
Hey, what the hell is going on here? you creeps, you lunatics!
You think you crazy or something? Well, you're not. You're not.
Who wants to go?
Well, let's see. So, whose list was this on? I think it was on your list, wasn't it, Red?
It was, yeah.
It was on your list, and I know you got some interesting thoughts about the film, and I know you have like, do you have like a personal? I think you have some personal stories about insane asylums. You were in one. I broke you out. I can't remember, but something like that.
Yeah, I've toyed with the idea of checking myself into one. Yeah,
There you go.
I don't want to talk too much, but I do have quite a bit written down. So I'm just this is like my first point. Okay, so my experience with this film. This was pre-Letterboxd, so I really wish I knew when I watched this last, but it was somewhere around 2020. And I'd always heard about this movie, always see the cover, always hear about how great Jack Nicholson is in it. And I knew I'd love it. I watched it, and to be honest, I felt really underwhelmed. I think really what it was is that I just didn't know how to feel about it. And I was astounded at how many people love this movie. Like, it just didn't line up to me in my head. But I got really intrigued by that because I'm like, hey, there's something I'm not missing. I'll have to rewatch this again. It'll make more sense later. Some time goes by, maybe like a week or two. Can't remember exactly, but I remember I was at a park with my boys, and we walked by one of those free library boxes. And right in the front, not even like lined up with the other ones, it was just sitting there. And it was Ken Kesey's One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. And I remember just like staring at it. And I was like, what the? Like, I saw it, but my brain didn't register it. I just remember picking it up and I was like, this is weird. I brought it home. I started reading it. And I think it was just like too much for me because the book is written from the perspective of Chief instead of McMurphy. And I think I got to chapter 3, but I just kind of put it down because it felt like dangerous. Like
Yeah.
the McMurphy of books. Like, I didn't know if I could mentally handle it in a way. I'll try to shorten this, but I bring up this movie and this situation out of the respect of anonymity. I'll just say it was someone very close to me. And they start talking to me about that hospital and another mental hospital located in Wilsonville called Damish, and that their mother was a patient there. And come to find out, she died while she was a patient there. I get intrigued. I do some research online. I find this DHS report on her death, the details surrounding her death, and that someone else, the very same morning, 2 hours prior, died exactly the same way. And then I find 5 other people died within a 6-month time period, and my mind just gets blown. I read this report, how they all passed away. I ended up getting on a phone and interviewing a few people. I met one of the nurses that knew this person's mom, another patient that was there, and just finding out all these crazy details and just learning about the complete and utter neglect for some of the patients. Not all of them, obviously. Some of them are amazing. I ended up finding information about like the mayor of Oregon at the time, and the rabbit hole goes really deep. Stories about over-medicating, prescribing meds. I found one story of a doctor, because they get some sort of like medical kickback if they like prescribe these drugs. But one guy didn't have HIV or AIDS and was prescribed AZT and was on it for like years. And they would stack medications to counter the other side effects. And it's just wild. If you enjoy watching our show on Spotify or YouTube and you want to be more involved, we encourage you to please come check out our Patreon community. Not only does our Patreon community get every episode you see on YouTube early, fully uncut, uncensored, and ad-free, but we're also doing Patreon-exclusive episodes, as well as Q&As, video clips, and access to our entire film catalog. It's a lot of fun and a nice way to say thanks for the cost of a cup of coffee every month. Now, back to the show. Not to mention electroconvulsive therapy and everything. So after I learned of all this, it just strengthened my viewing of this movie this time. Because not only was this movie like actually filmed in a mental institution, this movie is extremely accurate. Or that's just the way I felt about it. It added this whole other layer, this rich subtext for the viewing experience this time around. It was wild, and it's been a roller coaster to learn about the inner workings of this world. I feel like I'm going insane when I watch this movie. It's amazing. But yeah, just all the questions that this movie asks you, just like, what's the difference between someone who's sane and insane? And I don't know. Like, I want to know what you guys thought of the movie. Harrison, we talked about it a little bit at work, but Scott, is this your first time watching this?
Yeah, this is my first time watching this, and there are two things that I knew about this movie going into it. That Jack Nicholson was in it because he's on the cover, and that it was filmed in Salem, and I grew up in Salem.
Yeah.
And so every time I would drive past this asylum, I would go, hey, that's the place that One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest was filmed. But I genuinely knew nothing about this movie. And I just finished it literally 5 minutes before getting on this call.
Good.
And I think that I'm going to vomit, basically. Like,
Yeah, dude.
this goes back to like how I felt about some of the early movies we watched on this podcast. I hated it. I hated this movie. But it's not because the movie was bad. It was because it conveyed exactly what it was supposed to. I feel super emotional and super uncomfortable, and I really don't know what I'm going to say about this. I'm glad that you have more things to say because I'm just like reeling from watching this movie right now. Yeah, that's my experience.
Yeah,
Okay,
I get that.
I have a question for you, but go on, Harrison. I want to know.
Yeah, so
this is your first time.
So yeah, this is the first time I've seen this film as well. And I actually had a very similar experience to you. And I was able to watch this movie twice. And the first time I watched it, I was pretty underwhelmed. And today I watched it again. I find actually, just for some clarity for people listening, the way I usually do it is I try and watch it a couple days before we record. And then the day of recording, I watch it again, but at 2x speed, just to kind of get through it. And I feel like it just, I don't know, it tickles my brain in the right ways to get me thinking. This was a harder movie for me to watch. You guys know this, but just for the audience, I have a daughter on the autism spectrum, and she's considered pretty severe. It was really, and we've put a lot of work in with her. She goes to a lot of therapies, and we do a lot of one-on-one time with her to help her through her struggles that she's going through. I was watching this movie, 30 minutes in, I was like, wow, my daughter would have ended up in one of these places if it was back in like the 70s. And that just really just tripped me up really hard. And I think after that, I kind of watched the rest of the movie in just kind of this haze where I was just like, this is so, I can't even like really comprehend what's going on. And so I'm really glad I watched it a second time because it really kind of opened my eyes to a lot of the characters in the movie. And I feel it's weird. I feel like this is the movie that has caused me to want to ask the most questions to you guys and just kind of open up a discussion about a couple things. Whereas a lot of the movies we've watched, I watch it and I pick up on little things. I'm like, ooh, I'm so excited to share this with you guys. Like something cool I found or something interesting or just how I felt about this. And this is a movie where I'm like, I actually have like 10 questions I want to ask you guys and just hash some stuff out because yeah, it's a pretty wild movie. I think the best thing about this film though is the performances from all of the cast members.
Oh my gosh.
Like you're watching it and I'm just like, this feels like a freaking documentary. Like it felt so real. It was just, mind blowing.
Yeah. How many careers did this movie launch? We'll get into it. But first, before you answer that question I just asked you. So Scott, you're saying you want to throw up and like what are you thinking about the movie in like as like a metaphor? Were you attached to McMurphy? Like what do you mean? Because I agree. I just want to know like your perspective on it.
I typically go at movies with a set of lenses that I look through, and they just help me kind of dissect and, I'm looking at it. How did it make me feel? Is there a broader message that I should be picking up? I'll look at it structurally. Does this, how did they do just straight up presenting the story? Does it feel like a story, or does it feel like I didn't even notice the storytelling, stuff like that? Yeah, there's lots of different lenses that I'll look at movies. And this one, the whole movie, I just felt like mad. I just felt mad about the situation, right? So I didn't like Murphy at all. I mean, I also don't really like Jack Nicholson. I think he's really good at every character he does, and I just don't like his character, right? And it's not to say that he does a bad job. I'm just not like a mean person, and he's like plays a lot of sons of bitches. He did a really good job being that everyman sons of bitch in this movie. He's obviously not supposed to be a likable character. He's just supposed to be the one that's from the outside, right? And I find the most interesting thing about the storytelling in this film is how he is the free spirit that makes everybody change. He's the antagonist to everybody else as the main character. And so I didn't know that about the book, that it was from Chief's perspective. The antagonist in a story, in the hero's journey and stuff like that, their whole point is to shake up the comfort zone of the main character. And so to frame McMurphy as or RP Murphy, McMurphy,
Yeah.
to frame him as the main character kind of throws you sideways because you expect him to be the likable one or whatever. But he's kind of like the jerk version of like Ferris Bueller in this movie. Like he doesn't really change so much as everyone else changes because he is so constant, right? Because he doesn't care about rules and stuff like that, that allows him to be this static shaker of the tree constantly. And everyone else that's just kind of in a haze and they're scared and they've got the anxiety or they've got whatever they've committed themselves in here for, right? Voluntarily, he just keeps poking that bear. It allows you to see through the lens of like, what is their real deep core issue? You know, you asked the question earlier, like, what's the difference between sanity and insanity? And who do we have those definitions? And is it made by committee or is it like actually a thing? And these are all really, really big questions that nobody really has very good answers for.
No, most definitely. Just to stay on the point of McMurphy being the antagonist, I was watching this movie and I was like, I don't even know who I'm like rooting for. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like overall, I think I was watching and I was like, I mean, I want the situation in this place to be better. That's what I want. But I wasn't sitting there thinking like, oh man, like McMurphy's going to come in and like change up the status quo and everything's going to get better because of it. It was like, I was watching and I was like, I feel like just things are getting worse because of him. And then Nurse Ratched is like trying to keep the status quo. And then she makes it worse. And it's like, there's nothing positive happening. Like there's nothing positive happening in this film. It made it a really hard watch, to be honest. Like, is there even a protagonist in this film?
I kind of feel like Chief is, but even then, you know, you're stretching the definition of a protagonist, right?
Yeah.
I think more than anything, I think this is a fantastic commentary. And unlike today's films that are not very good at commentary, they're mostly like, let me hit you upside the head with an ideology. If you agree with it, you love the movie. And if you don't agree with it, you're going to give it a 1 star and rant about it or something. But this movie, it doesn't matter whether you agree with the message or the commentary it's trying to make. It just makes it so well that the movie's good whether you agree with the commentary or not. You know, and so it gets 5-star ratings because you hated it. And it gets 5-star ratings because you loved it. I think just from a storytelling perspective, a filmmaker perspective, this movie is an absolute 5.
Yeah.
I don't know how much there is to talk about the film, like film as an artifact of it. But the commentary, that's where it gets really messy. And I don't really know how to approach it and stuff. And so, Harrison, you got your questions, like, start asking them.
Here's one that I instantly was contemplating throughout the whole film. Is Nurse Ratched the villain of this whole movie? Like, is she quote unquote the bad guy? I was watching it and I was expecting that. Like I would say I didn't know a lot about this film, but I've seen people talk about, oh, Nurse Ratched is the absolute villain, the most terrible person in the whole place. And I would say by the end, I kind of realized that she was. It took about 70% of the movie for me to be like, before I was like, I don't see why people hate her. Like, just through my lens of being the parent of a child on the spectrum, like I was just watching it and I was like, I feel like she's just trying to keep the status quo. That's what she's trying to do. And I didn't really falter for that.
Yeah, I think when I first watched this, I identified with McMurphy. And then as the film goes on, you're like, no, never mind. And on this view, I'm like, I identify with Nurse Ratched. Like, she's not like, I've seen her on like the most evil doctor ever list. Like, she's kind of always mentioned, like you said. I didn't get that vibe. Like, there's numerous times where she doesn't overreact. She doesn't like get mad. She approaches things calmly, like procedurally. Like, there's one part where her hat gets stepped on and she just like calmly picks it up. She looks over And then there's a part where they're discussing McMurphy's future, and she's like, no, we're not going to just hand off our problem to someone else. We can help him. I really think we can. And like when I'm watching her performance, it seems genuine. I don't feel like she's like, no, we can keep him here longer, and I'm secretly going to ruin his life. Like there's nothing evil about it to me.
Okay, so you didn't see that as a vindictive scene, as her trying like, I want to keep him miserable.
Yeah, I didn't.
No, I agree with that. I think that the overprotective, devouring mother, it's a Jungian psychology kind of categorization. And I think that she really embodies it very well. And the thing about overprotection and specifically the devouring mother aspect is that it's an unhealthy protection. It's like helicopter parenting to the extreme. It's I have my own needs that I'm trying to get met and solved by overdoing it in my mothering duties, right? And I feel like she does that really well. And it because mothers are genuinely like freaking saints and are so important to society, and their children need them and stuff like that. It's really hard to look at the nuance of when that becomes an unhealthy expression.
Hey, everybody, just popping in real quick. If you could hit that like and subscribe button, that would really help us out a lot. But either way, let's get back to the show.
And so it's hard to say that what she is doing, what Nurse Ratched is doing is inherently bad. It's like, when does she go too far? And why? Mm-hmm. Why does she need to do this? To stay happy with, or to feel like she's doing the right job? And what does she do when she goes home and she cries and drinks a bottle of wine because she had a hard day at work? You know,
the way I kind of viewed it is, I kind of viewed her as somebody who's burnt out, because keep in mind for anyone listening, this is coming from just the perspective of someone who takes care of a special needs kid. So I know it's not exactly the same thing in terms of what's happened in this mental asylum, but I feel like there's some parallels to there. A lot of caregivers, they get burnt out a lot when they're working with special needs kids and with mentally ill people. And the way I kind of equate it is, it's like they're basically spending time with someone who's not connecting with them at all, or they're putting forth a lot of effort to try and connect to a person and getting very little back. Like spending like 2-3 hours with my daughter, if you're trying to connect with her and she's kind of in her own little world. And sometimes it's hard to be like, I put 3 hours into that and I maybe got 15 minutes of like actual connection with her where we actually like, communicated or had a special moment together. And that could really burn out caregivers and parents as well. And I kind of equate it to almost if your spouse gave you the silent treatment for like a week straight and just didn't talk to you. And that's a form of abuse, and it's terrible. And I feel like Nurse Ratched is, I feel like what she's doing is she's like, okay, I can follow this routine. I can do X, Y, and Z, and everything will stay calm. And she's kind of in this process of survival mode all the time, where she's like, if I just do X, Y, and Z, I can at least keep everyone alive and keep this place from not burning down. And I think that just leads to this burnout that she's in. And then eventually, McMurphy comes in and he's just poking the bear throughout the whole movie, and she's messing up her status quo. And it leads to her. And I want to mention this just so people don't think that we're completely sympathizing with her, because she gets to the point at the end where she probably does the most abhorrent thing you could ever do to anyone. When Billy comes out and she's like, are you ashamed of what you did? And he says, no, I'm not. That's like the most that's just a groundbreaking moment for him not to be ashamed of himself. That's crazy. And then she just instantly turns that around and tells him how horrible he is, how she's going to tell his mother about it. And it leads to him killing himself. Like,
that's right.
It's just crazy to me. Like,
yeah,
I feel like at the end, you really see the effects that McMurphy and just this whole situation she's in, her job has really affected her. And she just really crashed and burned at the end and did something really terrible. And I understand that people view her as a horrible human being and a villain, because really at the end she is. But as I said before, the first 70% of the movie, I wouldn't say I'm on her side, but I understand what she was going through.
Yeah.
I guess I have two questions. I have the surface level one and I have the deeper one. So I'm going to ask the surface level one, but I do want to come back to the deeper one. So do you think she started out as a villain, or was, like, my question specifically is, did the antagonist, as McMurphy, come in and turn her into a villain, or was she always a villain but didn't have a need to express it?
I think she was. So it's kind of tough because I think that her staff are all pretty terrible. Like, they're all pretty bad at their jobs, and she's supposed to be the supervisor of it and stop them from doing some of the things that they do. And so I guess in a sense, I'm like, well, she's not very good at her job if she's allowing her staff to abuse these patients. I still kind of land on it on my point where it's like, I feel like she was just she found the formula to keep the status quo, and McMurphy came in and wrecked it all.
So this is like where my question is, because Ken Kesey, who wrote this, go down your own rabbit hole and figure, like, he was part of the Kool-Aid acid test, LSD testing, and then he wrote this book. So like the story was originally written, I believe, as like a metaphor for like the government and controlling people, and that's what Nurse Ratched is. And then I believe McMurphy is supposed to just be like your everyday, your normal guy. And when he tries to upset, the government lays down the stiff arm of the law and neutralizes you. And I think, and I don't know, maybe you can talk more about that, Scott.
No, I could see that. Yeah. I could definitely see that perspective.
From that perspective, this movie parallels like Fahrenheit 451 really, really well, right? So Guy Montag is the guy that's just going about his status quo life, doing his government job as a firefighter, burning books and stuff like that. And what shakes him up is the everyday weirdo, this almost 16-year-old girl or something like that, who just asks him questions about like, hey, are you happy? Hey, have you ever noticed that this is a flower? And stuff like that. And he's like, wait a minute, am I happy? And so then he, goes back home to talk to his wife, and his wife is just like going through the routine, the Dr. Rat or the Nurse Ratched routine, like do the same thing every day. And she watches her shows on TV, but it's not just one TV. It's 3 entire walls in the house are a TV. And she's like, hey, Guy, let's get a 4th wall. And like, he doesn't actually connect with his wife. And, then he just starts realizing, oh my gosh, like my whole life is this hollowness. And then anytime they kind of push the buttons and stuff like that, the government comes in and like unleashes their robot dogs, and he escapes, and then like the city gets nuked, and it's like a horrible tragedy, just like this story is. And it's very similar in its structure. So I 100% all of that to say, I like Fahrenheit 451. I like this movie's story as well. It's just, they suck, but they change you.
That's the thing. Like, there's not a lot of mental hospital films because it's like this really dark, depressing world, which is sort of why I've kind of backed off writing what I was writing, what I was kind of talking about at the beginning. Like, it's just kind of a downer and it doesn't feel good. But anyways, it's really interesting because there's some really key turning points in the film. And one of them that really stuck out to me this time, but that first scene, they're in that bathroom and McMurphy attempts to pull up that sink, and he's giving it, it reminded me of that scene in 1917 where he's trying to push the truck and like no one's helping him, and it zooms in on his face and he goes through this like transformation, but he tries, he gives it all, and everyone's just kind of looking at him. In particular, Chief is looking at him. It keeps cutting to him. And if you haven't seen the film, it's foreshadowing for what comes later. But he's just like distraught. He's defeated. And as he's like leaving the bathroom, he's just like, hey, at least I freaking tried. All right. And that's kind of like, he just leaves and they're just kind of like silent. And then I think it's the second group therapy meeting where McMurphy finds out that some of the other people can just leave whenever the hell they want to, and they don't. And he's just like mind blown by this because he's forced to be there. He's on like probation or whatever. He can't leave. Mm-hmm. And I find that amazing because later on, he totally has the chance to leave himself out that window.
Yep.
And he doesn't. And I don't know what that says about humanity or just like what the underlying message about that is, but I found that really interesting. It's something I did not catch the first time I saw this.
Yeah, he does have the chance to leave with Chief, and he turns back to go see what happened to Billy.
Yeah.
I think that's the moment that McMurphy realized, like, oh, I screwed up. Like, I effed this up so hard. It actually reminded me, there's an episode of House where House does something kind of similar. He basically breaks out another patient at the rehab center he's at, and the guy's with, he thinks he's a superhero, so he brings him, like, not skydiving, but kind of like you float in midair at like a carnival or whatever.
Yeah.
And the patient he's with, he's just like, hey, thank you for what you did. And then he jumps off of a parking structure because he thinks he can fly. And it just felt very similar to a moment. It's like, yeah, you think that you're helping, you think that you're changing things, you think you're, rebelling against the system that's set up. And sometimes those barriers are there to protect people. Yeah, him turning back was a really big moment for me when I was watching it. Yeah.
That's a great point. I didn't even, because in his mind, he's like, dude, I'm getting Billy Babbitt laid. Awesome. And then, yeah, you're right. Because it kind of shows, there's a long shot of Jack Nicholson just kind of like in his thoughts. He's just kind of like reflecting or thinking about something. But you're right. I didn't catch that. That's good.
Well, yeah. And then, because the thing is this, then he goes back and he looks and he sees what Billy has done. And I think this kind of points towards McMurphy being a bad guy, because I think what happens is he sees him and he doesn't blame himself. Like, it's hard to say. It's hard to say that McMurphy caused Billy to kill himself, because he didn't. He set out a path for him to end up that way. And that's why he attacks Ratched at the end, because he's saying, this is your fault. You did this. And it's like, yes, she did do this. She said those horrendous, terrible things to him. But you came in and you shook things up to a point that led to these barriers being broken down. It allowed Billy to be able to do something that he wasn't supposed to be able to do without harming himself. I hope that made sense.
Did to me.
Yeah, it's heavy. It's heavy because we as humans live in gradients of right and wrong all the time. And we want there to be perfect right, and we want there to be a perfect wrong. And that's why we feel anger when justice feels like it hasn't been correctly served, things like that. And righteous anger is appropriate when righteous anger is appropriate. The question becomes, when do we make the wrong call? When do we make the wrong call? When is it, you know what? Billy was actually better in there doing the daily routine versus, no, Billy was actually better when he felt confident and was willing to square his shoulders and try to live his own life. Which one is the better Billy? The alive one who was meek and cowed, or the dead one who was confident?
Yeah, this film asks a lot of really tough questions, and you guys are bringing up more than I even thought of. It's crazy. Can we talk about the cast for a little bit, or if you guys have anything else?
No. Let's take a break from the heavy stuff. Let's ease up a little bit.
All right, cool. This movie has so many incredible faces. Christopher Lloyd. I mean, like, to me, like, he looks almost the same, just in my mind.
He's just really younger.
Yeah, exactly. But he looks like old at the same time. But I think he's like 21 or 22 in this movie.
See? No way. Oh my gosh.
I just feel like he's always looked old or older.
No, I agree.
But we mentioned a little bit with Danny DeVito as Martini. He says like 7 words, and he should have been nominated for an Oscar. Like he's like perfect for this role. One little interesting thing, I was telling you this, Harrison, but if you watch the movie ever again, every time that like tension builds or he feels unsure of himself, Martini always is sitting on a chair and he always lifts his leg up, because I think it's in the book, but his backstory is he was like in the army. He was like a fighter pilot, and his plane crashed, and the water was like filling up the airplane. So in his mind, through part of his PTSD and part of like him losing his sanity, that thought always comes to his mind. I was like, that is so like, but like
intense.
No one knows. Yeah, no, they don't say that in the movie. It's just so good. It's such a good acting thing he added.
It's
into
such
that.
a like Catch-22 era novel thing to put in a book.
Totally.
Like there's just so many things with just this cynical, call you out 70s hippie novels that are just so poignant and so uncomfortable. Ugh.
William Redfield as Dale Harding. I found him to be kind of haunting because he looks so normal. He's just got like that boring like mustache. He's reserved. He kind of carries himself like he's intelligent. But then when he starts like explaining his situation with his wife, you can see him crack, and then he like overreacts and he starts screaming at the top, berating whoever he's talking to. And that for me, I was just like, okay, yeah, the line between like insanity again, I don't know, that spoke to me. I thought that was,
It could be thin. Yeah, no,
interesting.
no, I agree. I found him pretty interesting throughout the film. Actually, one actually really funny thing about him was when McMurphy is bringing them onto the boat. That guy comes up. And he's like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" And McMurphy's like, "Oh, it's all good. We're from the mental hospital. These are all the doctors." And he's going through naming them. And when he gets to Hardin, I think is his name, he doesn't call him a doctor. He calls him Mister. And you can see him being like, "Wait, what?" And he looks up at him, and I was like, that was a really fun little jab.
Have you guys ever listened to Jim Carrey's stand-up comedy before?
It's been a long time. I've seen maybe one set.
He's got this really funny set of sketches like talking about this line between sanity and insanity. And he's like, it's just like one action away. You're sitting there shaving. You're like, do I run the razor blade across my tongue a bunch of times or just keep shaving? Do I turn into oncoming traffic or just keep driving? And I'm like, everyone's had those thoughts. You're just like, dude,
totally.
It's like so quick. Like you could just be insane right now.
And that joke wouldn't have been funny at all if it wasn't true a little bit.
Truth.
So also Michael Berryman, the actor from The Hills Have Eyes, talk about like the most interesting face ever. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No. Which one?
Is he the guy that's got the really long face? Like like the
it's
deep,
like
saggy eyes?
Yeah. He looks, when I first saw this, I didn't realize that he has no makeup on. Like that's his face. Like,
yeah, I got to look up what I've seen him in before. Cause isn't he in Ghost?
And then also Vincent Schiavelli. Nobody on earth looks like him. Vincent Schiavelli is the math teacher in Better Off Dead. That's what I know him best as.
So good. That movie is so good.
Also,
love that movie.
Vincent Schiavelli has no lines in the movie Goodfellas, but it's the scene where Ray Liotta goes across the street and beats the living crap out of that guy in the face with the butt of his handgun. And Schiavelli is just standing there right there, like all scared. And that's his one, that's like the only two movies I know him from, but I always recognize him. But if you look up his face, you'll know who I'm talking about. Better Off Dead. I think we watch that movie like once a month here at this house. My kids love that movie. Also, I wanted to shout out Scatman Crothers, the horny night shift worker. He's also in The Shining, but it's been a while since you guys have seen that, so I don't want to tell you what happens to him in that movie, but he's excellent, and we need to watch The Shining real soon. We already broke the Kubrick veil, so we might as well. But I was really interested to learn about the full immersion that the actors went into inside the mental hospital. I think they had a whole floor just kind of rented out, and then they would kind of commingle. They had their own cubbies, and they like just lived with the patients there at the hospital. And I was watching this interview, and Christopher Lloyd, he was just saying, he's like, this was the greatest teaching, like acting school I have ever been to. This was a formative movie experience for me, or acting experience for me. And he just like attributes all of his success to being in this film. And I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah, no, just like immersing yourself in the environment and
Total
being
immersion.
in it, like seeing like physical examples of what you're trying to convey in front of you. Like that's like the best thing you can do as an actor. At least in my head, that's what you'd want to do.
Yeah, found out this review is stolen, but I thought this was really funny. But I was like, this movie is just a really accurate portrayal of guys being dudes. I was like, that's kind of funny.
My
Guys,
gosh.
you have like your upbringing, you're like at like a sleepover with all your buddies, and like you just act like the people in this movie, basically.
There's some truth to that. to be honest.
There's a lot of truth to that. If only it was on film.
It's like there's just a level of just like I don't give no craps immaturity that just comes with being around a bunch of dudes, and it's like it's fine.
Especially when you're like sleep deprived and it's like 1 or 2 in the morning. Things just get weird sometimes.
True.
And then I loved the dancing patient in this movie. He's always dancing. I was like, that doesn't seem so bad.
There you go.
When they left the hospital and McMurphy's driving him off in the bus to go fishing, were you guys just like constantly looking to see like, do I know where they are? Do I know where they are right now?
Totally.
Well, yeah. When they drove the boat out of the harbor, I was like, hey, I've driven over that bridge.
That's Astoria, right?
Yeah, I think it's Depot Bay.
That is the closest ocean to Salem. I just wasn't sure if they were actually setting this in Salem or not. Though they did mention Beaverton once. So
they did.
Yeah.
They mentioned what?
Like, hey.
They mentioned Beaverton when the 2 girls come in and they're having the party towards the end of the movie. McMurphy's like, hey, yeah, she had a maniac husband in Beaverton once or something like that.
What? I didn't even catch that.
Dude,
cool.
that like night security guy, he's just like, what are you guys doing? It's my job. He's like freaking out. He's just, I really want to make a list of movies where it's like the worst thing to happen to somebody just because they wanted to get some tail. Like,
yeah.
He was like, yeah, this is gonna be great. And it's like, yeah, your whole world's now upside down.
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger's coming for you tonight.
If you enjoy watching our show on Spotify or YouTube and you want to be more involved, we encourage you to please come check out our Patreon community. Not only does our Patreon community get every episode you see on YouTube early, fully uncut, uncensored, and ad-free, but we're also doing Patreon exclusive episodes, as well as Q&As, video clips, and access to our entire film catalog. It's a lot of fun and a nice way to say thanks for the cost of a cup of coffee every month. Now, back to the show. Yeah, all he had to see was that bottle of rum or whatever they had, and he was like, ooh, ladies. Yeah, that part's creepy where he like takes that one girl into the room and she's like, don't worry, don't worry about them. That was kind of weird.
Yeah. The old lady comes up and is like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Well, you know, a man gets lonely. I'm just like, oh my God. Come on, man.
I don't know. I feel like that's probably the best way to get out of that situation. I feel like they handled it as good as possible.
That's
just
true.
The supervisor came in and then the girl peeked through the door and like hee and then he's like, I got lonely, and it was like, all right, just zip up your pants, get it over with, get her out now. You're like, what are you gonna do? It's like, this got awkward. I'm leaving. I'm an old lady. I've got grandkids,
You bring up a good point. Like, he actually may have not gotten fired because she's like, oh, it's just a girl, not 13 patients in the back room. In your guys' research, did you read up about the Kirk Douglas part of all this?
No, I'm interested though.
What? Wait. How did Spartacus get into this?
I know, it's so weird. So Kirk Douglas, I think fairly soon after Spartacus, he actually was on a Broadway, and it was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and he like fell in love with the script, and he bought the rights to it, and he met Milos Forman, the director of this movie, and he was like, I've got a script for you. I'm going to send it to you. He's like, perfect. I'm looking for something. And he never got it. And he waited 10 years. He was just like, oh, Kirk was probably drunk and just forgot or something, whatever happened, but I never got it. 10 years goes by. Michael Douglas approaches him and he's like, hey, my dad has a script. He said that he sent it to you. What do you think about that? He's like, I never got it. He's like, I've been waiting all these years, and for whatever reason, it just got stuck somewhere or lost. So Michael Douglas takes the reins and tries to propel this project to move forward, but he uses the original director that his dad wanted. And I think there were some other kind of rumors of who he wanted to play McMurphy and some other preferences, but they just kind of gutted all that, started fresh. But Kirk Douglas was like so enthusiastic about this play because he believed in it so much. I don't know any other details other than that, but I found that amazing and a really good segue from last episode. Somehow that all kind of worked out.
Why didn't we lead with that?
Yeah, I know.
Jeez.
But thank you, Kirk Douglas. So the film received 9 nominations at the Oscars, won 5. I'll just go through what it won. So Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Supporting Actor. And when you look at like the films that it beat for Best Picture, it beat out Jaws, Barry Lyndon, Dog Day Afternoon, and Nashville, a Robert Altman film that I haven't seen, but I've seen the other ones. Context is everything. This is 1976 or whatever, but like I'm kind of blown away that this movie won Best Picture. It seems so dark and like nuanced and complicated and like I'm looking at Jaws and I'm like, or Barry Lyndon or Dog Day Afternoon. I'm like, how did this win? It just seems weird.
Right. We're not the Oscars. What is I did see a fact. This is only 3 other movies have ever won all the major Academy Awards, like the ones you listed there, and the other ones are It Happened One Night from 1934 and The Silence of the Lambs from 91. I was like,
right.
wow, that's pretty incredible.
Now that I'm thinking about it, why has Silence of the Lambs never been on any of our lists?
Yeah.
I've never seen it, and I want to watch it actually. I think it's it's one of those movies I'm like, oh no, like Mormon upbringing, I don't want to see that. But now I'm like, no, I'm actually down to watch that one.
I've never seen it in its entirety.
It'll change you, and it'll make every reference make sense finally.
There we go. What was it? I did clock that this is a secret Christmas movie, by the way.
Oh, you beat me to it. Yes, I love that. I love that.
I saw them put in the baubles on the general's like tank top, and I was like, hey, there we go. We can watch this during Christmas. What a cheerful thing.
This movie also it's another film with a baseball World Series that leads to a murder. Shout out to Frequency.
Oh, Ren. This is so good.
That scene where they do the vote and it's rigged, or he accuses her of being rigged, and then he does the color commentary for the imaginary World Series game. That part's crazy.
It's really
literally crazy. It's so good. I don't know.
It's so good.
That's like one of the parts where you're like humming because like, I don't know, it's like cinema magic, but when you're just like all in and everything's just working, that's one of the few times in the movie where I felt like that. I like that part a lot.
I think that scene is actually really important for Ratched because basically you're watching that scene and she's saying like, hey, if you get enough people wanting to watch the World Series, we'll change the routine, we'll change it, and we'll turn it on for them. And the first round doesn't go the way he wants it. So he talks to them, convinces them, hypes them up for it. And then they vote again. And the fact that she's allowing him to do that I feel like is actually a pretty big deal. That she's like, no, we're going to let this work out. If this is what's going to help you cope and, feel like you're in control of something, I'm going to allow that to happen. And then when he doesn't get the votes and then he ends up getting the one from Chief, then he goes up and says, whoa, he voted. But the moment she's like, no, it didn't happen during the official meeting time, I feel like that was the moment when the gauge switched over to like, oh, okay, Ratchet's burnt out. Ratched is not being very accommodating, and
that's the heavy commentary. The government plays a crooked deck of cards.
Yeah.
It's never in your favor. It's always for your good until you step out of line, and then it's not for your good. You're ruining it for everyone else, even if it is for your good.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Lot of feelings.
Yeah. Or the vote doesn't matter. Maybe another theme.
I did like McMurphy's, like the first meeting they have where, their first group therapy session. McMurphy's like sitting there and his hair is all like spiked up. He's wearing like a tank top. He's got like a cigarette pack like shoved under his sleeve. And he's like playing with a deck of cards. I'm like, oh, he's the bad boy. Kind of like the vibe I was getting off of him. And I actually kind of like the one of his first things he does to like, I don't know, shake things up is Ratchet's talking, I think, to Billy. And she's trying to get him to open up and talk about, his situation and what he can do to improve it. And I feel like Billy's just about to say something, and McMurphy like riffles the cards really loud. and it like makes Billy hesitate, and then he shuts up and doesn't say anything. And Ratched even like gives him the glare of like, what the hell was that? Like we were working towards something and you just disturbed it. Like it shows, just little things like that can throw people off their course. One thing to keep in mind is like she has this schedule and kind of set up, and that's actually really good for people who have a mental illness or do have a mental disability. Like it really helps them. And I mean, even me, I've had moments. I actually, this happened not too long ago. I remember I woke up, I had a full day of work. I had plans afterwards, and it was like all set up and ready to go. And I woke up and both my jobs got moved or canceled. I had my plans that evening got canceled as well. And I was sitting there, I was like, I have nothing going on anymore. And I literally sat on my couch for like 2 hours. And I was like, I don't even know what to do. Like, what do I even do? Like all of a sudden I have all this free time, and you think I'd be like sick. All right, let's jump on it. Let's get some stuff done. But it took me a while to like just really like change the gears in my head. And it's like, okay, you can do X, Y, and Z now because you don't have these quote unquote important things to do. And so that's why I think she's, stuck on the fact it's like we need to stick with this schedule because it is actually good for people.
The flip side of that, how many times have you like woken up in an absolute funk, but you got like 4 jobs to do that day and plans in the evening? You're like, screw it, I'm just going to do it. By the end of the day, you're tired. You're like, if I had been alone with my thoughts today, it wouldn't have been good. So I'm really glad that it was like we had the routine. It made the day better.
No, and honestly, like just even having something to start the day, like honestly, like weekends, like lots of times for me, I have to like get the ball rolling or else I won't do anything on the weekend. Like I won't clean the house or get the dishes done. But usually during the week, like if I go to work and I come home and I just keep the ball rolling, then I get everything done.
Monkey mind. That's what I call.
Yeah.
Also connecting this back to Return to Oz with the electrotherapy. Do we want to talk about electrotherapy? Do we want to share opinions about electrotherapy here? Does this feel like a safe location for that?
I mean, I'll be honest. The only thing I can contribute to that conversation is it looks painful, and I mean, I'm going to lean on the caution that it's not a good thing and we shouldn't be doing it. But I don't have any research. I've never looked into it because it sounds terrible.
It seems like they don't really do that anymore, and probably for a good reason. Maybe, because somebody watched this movie and was like, hey, we like Jack Nicholson, even though he's a sons of a bitch in this movie.
We shouldn't let that happen.
Yeah, a little bit of my research into that, but I mean, it's not like a lobotomy, but yeah, I think they stopped doing that in the early 90s. So think about, dude, I have... Yeah, or maybe like late 80s, maybe somewhere around that era. But this Damish hospital that I was telling you about closed in 95, and there's reports of it still going on there. So somewhere around that time period. I found in this report, there was one patient, he got electrotherapy like 190 times. Like it was just part of his daily or weekly routine. And guess what? It doesn't help. Like it might calm you down or like dumb you a little bit if you're really hyperactive or something, but it's insane that any human did that to another human. That's so horrible.
By the way, I call this as my slimiest scene. No one else can take it.
Oh. All right. Well, let's jump into it. Who wants to go first?
Yeah. Well, here I'll say one thing before we jump into our slimy scenes and reviews, I will say one thing they did pretty good in this film was they really represented the fact that when it comes to mental disabilities and illnesses, like the range of people like that with their feelings, like the highs are really high and the lows are really low. Mm-hmm. Like there's moments with Charlie that I'll remember for the rest of my life because it was one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my entire life. But then, then there's those days that's like, wow, this is like the bottom of the barrel, really shitty day. That's just kind of the way it is. And I was watching this film and like, there's moments like even when they get back from the fishing trip and they got those huge fish, by the way, I couldn't believe how big those fish were.
Yeah.
And they're riding in. I was just like, wow, and they all survived. Like, I can't believe that none of them are dead.
None of them fell off the boat. Yeah, for real.
Yeah, none of them fell off the boat. I was literally watching. No, that was the thing. When they got on that boat, I was like, okay, this is the scene where something bad's gonna happen, and McMurphy's gonna realize what he did. And then it all went off without a hitch, basically. And I think that actually does set up for the moment at the end when he does realize, like, oh, I effed up. And I can't, I shook things up so much that it ended up someone being killed.
I agree. There's so much appropriate foreshadowing in this movie. There's just layer after layer after layer. Like everything that happens, you can go back. Oh, that was mentioned before. Even Billy, like, that was the first time you thought about committing suicide, right? And what he committed suicide over was already mentioned earlier about going to talk to this girl that she didn't know that he was in love with her, and then even I'm going to tell your mom about it was foreshadowed before that. Like, there's so many layers of foreshadowing in this movie. Like, nothing was like, where'd that come from?
Right.
Like, this movie is so well written.
I agree 100%. Before, and then my last note, that ending scene where Chief ends up killing McMurphy. I was just like, whoa. Like, damn, that hit. And then you sent us that clip from The Simpsons, reenacting it, and now I just laugh whenever I think about it.
Yeah,
that was the one time in the movie where Chief runs out, and I was like, why didn't he just check himself out calmly? But then it was like there's some sort of victory that, like, Chief needed to gain the confidence like Billy did, but he didn't die. In the process. But then I thought it was funny that he was just like running off into the hills, and I was like, I know where that asylum is. 30 seconds after going out the window is not a bunch of hills. It's like downtown Salem.
So funny. It's interesting to think about the patients there, because she did mention that a handful of them were committed and needed to stay there. But it's interesting to think about the guys who could have left, and Chief especially, because I feel like you get the sense of when he finally, he hands him that juicy fruit, and he takes it. He's like, I love juicy fruit, or I can't remember what he said, but it was pretty funny.
Yeah.
I mean, but then that reveal of, you're like, oh, wait a minute, he's not. This is all an act he's doing or whatever, and then
he's hiding.
He talks. Yeah, and then he tells you the backstory, and you realize, like, oh, like he's hiding from what's going on.
Good reason.
Like I said, it's just so complicated. I feel like you really could just pick a character and you're like, I just want to ask you a million questions and figure out what your motivations are and why you're here and what's stopping you from leaving and things like that.
Well, cool. Well, let's transition. Let's talk about the slimiest scenes that stood out to you the most, and we'll end on our ratings and get on out of here.
Slimiest scene is definitely the electrotherapy scene. They didn't pull any punches with that. Just the disorientation. McMurphy has no idea what's going to happen. I'm assuming he probably thought he was going to get like a shot or something, whatever, but he hadn't thought it through, right? So he gets like laid down and they put the conductant on him. He's like, ha ha, ha ha, ha, and he's all nervous about it and stuff like that. And then they just like F him up so hard, and they just film how painful it is. And that sucked. And once again, foreshadowing for the end of the movie. So well done, script writers.
Also, I got to add this, but there's something that he says, because you see the confidence in his eyes, because he's kind of he thinks he's smarter than everyone, and then he gets in there and you kind of see his demeanor change, and he kind of gets nervous. But then he goes, when they put the thing on his head, and he goes, "Oh, a crown of thorns, huh?" Just kind of emphasizing that he's like the martyr for all the patients on the ward. And I was, that part. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't pull any punches. That part's crazy.
I also want to say that I honestly loved Chief this whole movie. He was great. I thought Chief was the one breath of like honest fresh air, which is kind of ironic because he's lying the whole time. But I loved him. I loved his character. I loved the way he played it. And I loved how McMurphy just like picked him as the one to love on throughout the movie, like put you under my wing because you're different than everybody else. I don't know. I just loved their relationship, and I thought it was developed well with all of the caveats of how unhealthy the relationship was.
Yeah.
So I love Chief, but If I were to rate this movie, I think the movie deserves all of the fives and the Oscars that it got. I don't know that I would ever recommend this movie to somebody. I genuinely like this movie is one of those ones that's like, do I recommend 1984 to somebody? You know, like you got to read it, you got to see it because you have to know what it is. You have to know, you have to have it in your psyche to, I don't know, almost be a good citizen or something like that. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, but like it feels important. Just like Saving Private Ryan feels important or something, but it's not like, man, I freaking love this movie. It was so good, you know?
Yeah.
Like I would do that with The Northman because it's like, dude, it's a grimy Norse movie, Viking film. Like it's, you know, might not be your jam, but it was really well made. Just know what you're getting yourself into. This one, I'm like, I don't know, it sucked, but it was good. So I'll probably give it a 5. As far as how I liked it, like it's a 3 or a 2 or something, but I don't know. It was really, really well made. It's not really a I like this kind of movie.
Yeah. So, here, I'll take on the next one because Scott, you basically said everything I was going to say. Because, oh my gosh. So, in terms of slimy scene, though, I think mine's got to be when Billy comes out of the room after sleeping with that gal, and she goes, "Aren't you ashamed of yourself?" And he goes, "No, I'm not." Like that's just like, and then I try and just put a little blocker there and don't think about what happened immediately afterwards. But just him saying that was just like, whoa, like that's a really incredible breakthrough for him to actually say that about himself because you know he's a self-hating person. Props to that scene. Yeah, Scott, you basically stole everything I was going to say about this because this is gonna be my review on Letterboxd. It's gonna go 4.5 stars. Don't watch it.
Yeah. That's funny.
Like, don't watch it. You should, but don't watch it.
5 stars, won't buy again.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it is. I would say if you love any of the actors or actresses in this film, then I'm like, no, you should watch it because you should see this incredibly mind-blowing performance from all of them. It deserves your attention, deserves your time. But I don't think I'll ever watch this movie again, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's hard. So I'm going to say 4.5 is what it's going to get. Personally, kind of like you, Scott, I'm like 2.5. Like, because I can't ignore the fact that the performances were really good, but I really didn't like how I felt watching it.
Well said. Yeah, this is a hard movie to rate. I just want to clarify one thing. Like when I was going over like what this movie beat out for Best Picture, I feel like it's deserving of it, but it's almost surprising that the Oscars picked it over like Jaws.
I wonder if Jaws is too blockbustery, like popcorn flicky for it. For it to win an Oscar, I don't know if that matters or anything.
Yeah,
but
you're probably right. But anyways, I wasn't even alive then. My slimiest scene was the one you picked, Scott, but I think it's the color commentary with the World Series. And if it's not that, it might just be that close up of Nurse Ratched just being strangled. Like,
dude,
it's
I was waiting for her eyes to come out. Like totally. I literally was watching it and I'm like, how are her eyes not bugging out of her head? How do you even film that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I thought she died too. She doesn't die. But yeah, I just had a weird memory of this movie. I didn't remember the Billy Babbitt part. I didn't remember Nurse Ratched living.
I think I'm going to go second place for mine. I'm taking the liberty of having a second slimy scene.
Do it.
When Billy and Candy are in the room and Jack Nicholson goes to the window and sits down and starts chilling before he falls asleep. And the cinematography of just how uncomfortably long it just sat on him for like 25 seconds, a minute or whatever it was. I was like, this is the most uncomfortable scene because of how long it is. And just like trying to parse through what was going through his head as his girlfriend was like banging this other dude and like, but he told her to, and he's like, I'm going to wait for her, but I want to escape. It made me feel really uncomfortable the whole time. And I
Yeah.
felt like so sad that he didn't escape.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I felt.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this for a few days, but I think I'm gonna rate this movie just a 4 out of 5 because I'm factoring in like my excitement to watch it again, which is very low, mixed in with the incredible writing, the incredible performances. Again, like I said, just the subtext and the richness of how accurate everything feels in this mental hospital, and also like the impact that it left on me. Even though I didn't know how to feel about the movie, it set me on this course of just deep diving into this world, and then learning a lot about. Well, it's anonymous, but this person who I'm really close to and their family member that died. It's just been like life-changing in a way. But yeah, I'm going to fall on a strong 4-star out of 5-star rating.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I feel pretty solid about
There
that.
you go.
Yeah. And 4 is a great movie. 4 is good.
Yeah.
What's your letterbox review?
Oh God. Probably I like yours, Harrison. I think that's perfect.
4.5. Don't watch it.
Yeah. I'll watch this like every 5 years, maybe, or never again. One of the two. Yeah.
Oh, by the
cool.
way, apparently, I found this out while I was looking at stuff. Apparently, there's a prequel to this movie. It's a TV show called Ratched, and it's about Nurse Ratched before she got there. Apparently, it's not that good, and there's not a lot of connections between the two, but it does exist in case anyone wants more.
So it goes into the One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest extended universe with frequency.
Dude, now I really want a category on our Patreon that's murders preluded by the World Series or something like that.
Yeah.
What a weird little connection.
We're gonna find them. That's all I know.
We'll figure it out. Oh my God.
So next week is The Returning, and we got to have our categories picked.
Yes, we do.
I got 2. I'm feeling a little goofy, so I got 2 that I think are going to be kind of funny.
I've got 1 locked in for sure.
History.
That's all I know, though. Actually, kind of, yeah.
History and music, or history in 2025.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, it's
One day,
actually.
One day.
No, it actually. I'll just tell you, it's Black History Month. So yes, it is history. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Man.
All right, cool. Well, have an awesome night. I just want to say, I've watched the first 10 minutes of The Returning. I'm all in. I think it looks freaking really interesting. I know everyone talks crap about it, including you, Scott, but I'm really excited to watch the full film. It's going to be good.
I've still never seen it, so we'll see what happens. Maybe it is actually going to. Maybe we'll actually have an hour to an hour and a half worth of stuff to talk about. Maybe.
Okay. I'll be looking out for your dad too.
You guys keep watching, and you let me know in Discord if you think you got it.
Okay.
Here, I'm going to throw out a quick thing for you, Scott. I think it'd be really cool if either your dad could hop on, or you could do a pre-recorded message with him, and he could tell us about his experience with it. I think that'd be pretty cool if he's down.
That'd be sick. All right,
All right,
guys.
peace
Have
and
a good
love,
night.
y'all.
All right,
Bye.
love you guys. Bye.
All right, love you. Adios. That's a wrap on another episode of Cinema Slime. Be sure to watch the next film before next Wednesday. We had a blast and hope you enjoyed it. This episode was a production by your hosts, Harrison Jensen, Ren Jensen, and Scott Shepard. This is a group effort, and seriously, thank you. Thank you for listening and watching us, however you found us. We really appreciate it. Help us grow by leaving a comment, a 5-star review, subscribe, and share an episode with another cinema lover. Also, let's connect. Find us on Discord and Letterboxd for film discussions, reviews, and recommendations. Also, check us out on social media. We're always posting clips, film rabbit holes we're going down, and interesting stuff. And you can also show your support by using Buy Me a Coffee, and we'll give you a shout out if you'd like. All links can be found in the episode notes. Goodbye.